Stock. I'm Mikhail Raj. Today we focus on investment opportunities in Myanmar, and the country is aggressively seeking foreign companies and businesses to invest in what is known as the project bank. These are sectors which offer opportunities to investors, including potential investors from Malaysia. But there are lingering concerns about investing in Myanmar. We have the sanctions, doubts over the ease of doing business, business disruptions. Basically, the question that potential investors will ask is it still risky to invest in Myanmar, or whether the country has transformed into an investment haven? The full details on BizTalk. Welcome back. To find out more about what in store for Malaysian investors in Myanmar, we have in the studio Amara Singham. He is the Executive Committee member of the Malaysia Myanmar Business Chamber and also is founding member. Welcome to BizTalk, Amara. How are you today?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Amara.
Very well.
You have been there for more than almost 22 years. I think you are the right man to talk about the situation in Myanmar, especially the reforms and all that, and to address some of the concerns. Besides the concerns that I mentioned earlier on, there are also some questions raised on the equity restrictions. We are talking about bureaucracy, and sometimes they talk about high business costs, and the long-term effect of sanction and the poor infrastructure. So they'll be asking you, do these problems still plague Myanmar? And then have there been reforms, transition to a more liberal investment climate?
Very well said, in a sense that the economy has totally changed, the government has changed, and it's very liberal at the moment. It's so liberal that now you can bring in any investment, all investors can go in, and you can see the telcos, you can see the from the what do you call that, investors from all over the world, especially from China. They're all flooding over there because it's open. It's so open that these days the telcos, especially telcos, they have started upgrading until the speed of the telcos are faster than Malaysia. Okay, so to say whether it is liberalized or not, I think it's changed leaps and bounds since the last 20 years I've been there. To be fair, Myanmar is now very focused on investments. Myanmar has changed their stance, that they are also looking into ASEAN as one of ASEAN members. And I find that Myanmar is very receptive towards our ideas, and they wish to promote more and more. One good example is they have asked us in the chamber, okay, to promote Myanmar investments and opportunities to Malaysians. Okay,
they're talking about opportunities and all that. One of the things they're opening up to attract foreign investments, including from Malaysia. So tell me about this project bank. What are the sectors that will be offering opportunities for Malaysian investors?
Okay, this project bank is actually about infrastructure, construction, projects.
These are areas where Malaysians are good at.
Yes, agreed. Okay. Especially in road construction. I think Malaysians will do very, very well in Myanmar road construction. We are already there in airport. We are looking at seaports, and we are looking at constructions as well.
We have done well in India for roads, and we have done airports in Turkey and all that.
Yes.
So I think this is where that we can transfer some technology to Myanmar.
Agreed. Okay. No doubt about that. Especially now that they are looking at upgrading the Yangon-Mandalay highway. which is actually, it takes you, for 600 kilometers, it takes you 8 hours. But if the highway is done, I'm sure it will take you less than 6 hours.
Yeah. Is it because that the fact that it's like almost like Malaysia, where we were 30 years ago, and Myanmar is there right now, and like it's like with a booming economy opportunities that we experienced in the early 70s and 80s. Am I right in that kind of prognosis?
Yes. After the elections, the economy was stagnant a bit, and I believe that was because everyone, with the new laws coming in, the new conditions coming in, new government coming in, things slowed down a bit. But now we can feel that it's starting to pick up. Perhaps it will pick up even further in the next few years to come. World Bank has already came out with a projection that the middle income will grow in double digits. So that is why we are now focusing on Myanmar. Those days, Vietnam, used to be, it's like Vietnam 20 years ago. Vietnam was growing at a very slow pace. But once the FDIs came in and once things settled down, it started to shoot up. And the same thing is going to happen in Myanmar. Myanmar is definitely 20 years behind Vietnam.
Yeah, indeed, Amara, because I need to talk more about the key industries and key investment areas that hold potential for Malaysia. But hold your thoughts, sir. We'll take a short break and we'll be back after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are talking about investment opportunities in Myanmar. Amara, before we went for the break, we were talking about the key industries. I understand the key industries for investment include import substitution and even resource-based manufacturing. So, can you? What are these areas we are talking about? You could break it down. Can you elaborate on these areas, these two key industries?
Okay, for import substitution, that's where they are looking at food processing, and manufacturing, local manufacturing, instead of importing electrical goods and so on. That's why the government is giving some incentives. They have free trade zones where they're giving special incentives, tax breaks from 10 up to 10 years, 15 years, depending on where you are. And for raw material and resource processing, I believe there's a very big potential because most of the resources are being exported and then brought back as finished goods or in finished good forms.
I mean, it's exported in the commodity form and come back as a process, and they are they don't have the value added.
Correct.
Is there something that Malaysians can come in to Myanmar to do that?
Yes, we are very good in pineapple from what we understand here. Actually, when I was sitting on the Lasio highway once, I saw all the raw materials going into China, and what is coming out is all the canned foods. So that's tremendous potential for agriculture, where canned corn, we are talking about rice, we are talking about beans and pulses.
Maybe you're talking about downstream processing of these agricultural products to be undertaken by Malaysian companies and all that. I think they have a lot of expertise in that area.
Correct. Yeah. Because we done that in Johor.
And the pineapples and all that.
Yes, exactly. I think that's something which we should look into seriously.
I see. What about resource-based manufacturing?
Okay, resource-based manufacturing, I would say that if you're looking at, we are talking about mining and all those, yes, basically there are a lot of mines, there are a lot of, Myanmar is rich with natural resources. Unfortunately, it's all being mined and being exported. I think it's time for someone to go in there and process it, and I think we have that expertise. Well, one good example is tin mine, copper, magnesium, all these are very good resources which are now mainly being exported.
See, the other thing is that over the past 2 years, past 1 year, Malaysia sort of put on hold, deferred many of the construction projects, infrastructure projects. But now they are on. But then the construction sector is sort of like languishing, not moving that fast. But you touched on construction. Tell me about the opportunities for construction and infrastructure development in Myanmar. What are the areas are we talking about?
There's tremendous potential in infrastructure because they need roads, bridges, basically even telecommunication and power. Power is something that they badly need. Even small micro hydro plants are required everywhere. I think that's a very big opportunity. For construction, their affordable housing is very, very crucial. And that the government pays for it the way it goes on there. And by the way, there are some Malaysian companies already heading to do the affordable project. So basically, I think these two areas are very good areas for Malaysians to tap on.
Tell me about you mentioned about Malaysian companies. Tell me which are the big Malaysian companies and how does the Myanmar government view Malaysian investors?
Okay, the biggest investor down there is Petronas. Then you got Maybank, you got Kianju, you got so many others. Even
Kianju was one of the latest to put on the massive investments, right?
Correct.
How much was it?
That was 150 million, I believe.
Okay.
You know, so we've
dollars or ringgit?
in dollars.
Oh, that's a lot of money. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And I believe a few other companies like OG, they do carton box, and a number of Malaysian companies are down there. Even we're talking about food processing companies. Even if we talk about soft drinks, they are all there as well. Some of the soft drink manufacturers. And and if you look at it, another point of view, Malaysians are viewed very favorable because we are looked at as enablers. Okay, why enablers? Because when we start our business there, we use a lot of locals. We use a lot of local people. We use a lot of local resources.
You generate the employment for the locals, right?
Correct. And on top of that, you see, it's good for us because what do you call that? The other part of it, we are looking at Malaysian companies. They are all there already. Quite a number of them are there, and they're doing very well. You know? They're doing very well because it's like a natural barrier where a lot of people have this negative connotation that Myanmar is so difficult to do business, it's so difficult to send money, and so on and so on and so on. But actually, in real facts, no. Myanmar is easy. You can TT your funds in, you can TT your funds out for purchases and so on. So on that basis, I think Myanmar is very liberalized now. You can own 100% company and do most of the businesses. There are only a list of businesses that you cannot touch, which is actually which touches the government. Okay, I mean something sensitive to the government and sensitive to the people of Myanmar, which is fair, I believe. Okay, other than that, it's very open. It's not the Myanmar that we know 5 years ago.
Okay, now that you said all these things and all that, now potential investors, what can they do to know more about coming to invest in Myanmar? You are organizing some kind of a investment conference. Can you give some details about that? You know.
Okay, this year we worked together with the chamber, working together with the Myanmar Foreign Investment Ministry and our Malaysian embassy as well as our matrate. We are organizing investment seminar.
Okay, this is in
Yangon.
The Yangon, okay.
In Yangon.
And when are you organizing that?
On the 28th to the 30th of August.
Okay, end of this month. Okay.
Yes.
So tell us what it's all about.
Okay. Normally, what happens is when we organize an investment trip, is always businessman to businessman. But at this seminar, we are extending it further to bring in the officials. So therefore, we're bringing in 4 government ministries. The first ministry is Ministry of Construction, the Ministry of Industry, the Ministry of Commerce, and the Ministry of Transportation and Technology.
So these are the areas that holds a lot of promise for investors.
Correct.
I see. The other thing is that you're talking about ministry and our ministry. Is it like a G2G kind of an arrangement, this conference?
This is, you can say yes, you do, G to G, because both sides have sanctioned it, and we in the chamber has been asked to organize and manage the thing.
I see. So what about competition that Myanmar faces right now? You know, because this is something that is that even Malaysia has to contend with and all that. You know, so how does it deal with competition to attract the investment dollar?
Okay. Now, if you look at investment dollar wise, Myanmar is the last frontier, I would say. The other one will probably be Cambodia and Laos. If you look at Vietnam, Vietnam is now a net FDI exporter. Okay, so that leaves only Myanmar, Laos and Cambodia. And Myanmar has got a huge population, 54 million.
Okay.
Okay, and World Bank, as they have projected, is going to grow. It's going to be one of the fastest growing countries in ASEAN.
Yeah, I want to talk more about this investment conference that they've got. This is Malaysia, Myanmar Connect 2019 and all that.
Yes.
But we'll take another break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about this. We'll take a short break, and after this brief messages, don't go away. We're talking about investments in Myanmar and the move by the Myanmar Chamber of Commerce to actually attract investments from Malaysia. I'm talking to Amara. Amara, the question is, I want you to talk more about this roadshow in Yangon, this Malaysia Myanmar Connect 2019 and all that. Before that, how much of investments are there in Myanmar or under project, what do you call that, project bank and all that? So how much of investments are we talking about?
Okay, this project bank is actually initiated by the Myanmar government.
Okay.
This is for them, for them to get investors on strategic projects, especially construction, infrastructure. Infrastructure means also the power projects, the roads, the airport, the port. They are already asking for investors to come in for these particular projects. And the worth of this project is worth about, I think, about 5 billion.
5 billion. This is
US dollars.
You're talking about project bank, is it?
Yes.
$5 billion.
$5 billion, yes.
Okay. Well, but then I want to ask you, will there be, will our chamber here help the chamber there and maybe sort of match make our construction people with their construction people, our property people, their property people, because there's a sort of seems to be a disconnect, and then your conference is called Connect, there seems to be a disconnect right now,
Okay, actually this whole project, this whole seminar was undertaken just to by the embassy as well to bring our Malaysian potential investors over there. What we plan to do is we will have a meeting with the government officials. Okay, and then we'll also have meetings with the businessmen in Yangon.
So there will be matchmaking and
yes, that's why when you go into our website, and we'll ask you to list down what are the businesses that you would like to work together with. So with that, we will then get our secretariat. We have a secretariat. We will try to get our best to get the local businessmen to meet up with our businessmen.
So all the local businessmen and our local investors who take part in this seminar, will there be any grants for them or any incentives by MyTrade or the other side?
As Malaysians, we always look forward for grants. So I would say yes. I wanted to highlight that. MyTrade has gracefully granted 2,500 per person or per company, per trip, to subsidize this event as well, so they can claim the grant on return from
that's quite an incentive, right? How many participants do you expect from Malaysia?
We're expecting about 200
participants and all that.
Yes.
And you're expecting mostly what type of companies from Malaysia?
We are expecting from construction, from infrastructure. We are also expecting some from medical, tourism, and we have got already some SMEs as well.
I see. What about eco-city development? Is it part of the project bank?
Yes. They are looking towards having eco-city because Myanmar is very eco-friendly these days. Even the government is having ECIA assessment before you can start a project. So I think one of the Malaysian companies, they are looking at a very big project down there, but it's not in Yangon, it's off Yangon. There are very big opportunities outside Yangon as well. Yangon is the main city, the capital is Naypyidaw, but Mandalay holds bigger promise as well.
So while you're talking about the cities and all that, I also want to talk about the location of Myanmar, because can you use, if you use Myanmar as a gateway or a launching pad, what are the countries that you can actually invest there, from Myanmar, you can export to these countries,
Actually, that is very good question because this is what some of us are already doing. We manufacture in Myanmar and we export to China or to Thailand.
That's a big market by itself, right?
Correct. It's already in the process, and especially for fish meals and fish products, there is already a highway connecting between Myanmar and China. Goods are going in tons. You have heavy traffic around that highway.
See, the other thing is that in Myanmar, do they prefer, when you're talking about reforms and all that, do they prefer partnerships, joint ventures, or they enable foreign equity, total foreign equity? What kind of linkages do they prefer?
At the moment, most of them will prefer joint ventures. Okay, but again, some companies are apprehensive, so you may want to go in on 100% to feel, and then. But the best thing is go in with an open eye, with a very objective, very open mind as well, and also look at long term.
Okay, and you're talking about open eye, talking about the do's and don'ts. What are the don'ts you have to watch out for about when you want to go and invest in Myanmar?
Basically, in Myanmar, the people are very, very kind. Okay, they are very soft. They are very polite. Okay, but you have to respect them. That's one thing, because their culture is very soft culture. They're very refined people. They speak very softly, and one of the things that we always got to watch out is they don't like to say they cannot. They're always very positive.
Oh, okay.
So that sometimes leads to an issue, when they don't know how to say no, or we don't know how to say don't know. But they do it with good heart. They are really, really down to earth people. And as you can see, they work very hard, very diligent people. Okay. The other one which you think that which you shouldn't do in Myanmar is basically compare. You can't compare Myanmar and other countries. A lot of people come there and say it's very slow. Everything is very slow. But actually it's fast. If you look at it, it was like Malaysia 30 years ago. Okay. But in due course, I believe in the next 5 years, Myanmar will be as fast as Malaysia, because they're adapting the new technologies. Okay, everything is becoming brand new instead of assimilating the older technologies. So you will see things move faster. Okay, move faster, and technology is very, very playing a very big deal over there.
Indeed, I think what you said, there's a lot of opportunities for Malaysia. I wish you good luck in this Malaysia Myanmar Connect 2019 and all that, and I hope you do get full participation in all that. Thank you for your insights into this trade between Malaysia and Myanmar. That's all for Biz Talk tonight. Until the next time, bye for now.